And my speech will about the reforming the agricultural land market in Ukraine, because there is a lot of changing this year that's why it is interesting for foreigners and for citizens of Ukraine. And I want to mention that Ukraine has a significant land potential. It is almost 70% land is agriculture. It is with high fertility. It's called black soil. So it is very, very good for agricultural producers. 42 out of 60 million hectares is entire territory of Ukraine is agricultural land. So it is not the land is most territory of Ukraine. It is agricultural land, and less the cities. So that's why it is this question about land. It is always interesting and discussing with legislators in Ukraine. And the first I want to tell about that decree on land. It was when Bolsheviks in 1917 came and issued the decree on land, and it is prohibit any market transaction with land. But I live in Transcarpathia region until 45. This region was under Slovakia and under Austro-Hungarian kingdom. So we had always private land with my grandfather and everybody. But after 1945, it was taken away by the state, by Soviet Union, and nobody has any possibility to have right to the agricultural land. Now in Ukraine, we have such a situation with agricultural legal relations, and I want to note the grounds of the emergence of the right of agricultural land is contract in Ukraine, the will, the testament, the decision of the executive authorities or local governments, because we have 24 regions in Ukraine, and court decisions. The moment of emergence of the right of agricultural land is the moment of its state registration. So only from that moment we can use the land. And concerning the right of lease of land shares, so from the moment of the conclusion of the contract. Subjects, you can see that it is citizens of Ukraine, it is natural persons, this is business associations, it is foreigners, stateless person, foreign legal entities, citizens who run personal farms. We have a law about a farm, and there we have personal farm, family farm, agriculture cooperatives, agricultural holdings, and state and municipal agricultural enterprises. So this is the subjects, all of subjects of who can use right to have agricultural land. The subject of legal regulation is public relations, and which have as their object agricultural land occupying most of the territory of Ukraine. And it is interesting that those that can be used for agricultural needs and land shares, because land, the right of use land, we can put in the legal entities like a share. The purpose of acquiring and implementing the right of agricultural land use may be the use of land for business purposes. So this is all kind of agricultural land which we have in Ukraine. This is for commercial agriculture production, farming, placement of infrastructure of wholesale markets on non-business needs, in particular for personal farming, subsidiary agriculture, horticulture, gardening, hay making, and cattle grazing for research and educational purposes. So this is part 3 of Article Civil Code. This is no more agricultural land in Ukraine. What it is about the situation now? So in the Soviet Union, we have all land was state-owned. In 25 of October 2001, Verkhovna Rada, it is our parliament, adopted the land code. And in this code, they wrote that in transitional provisions, that the purchase or sale of agricultural land are temporarily prohibited. It was temporal. I was a student when it was adopted, and I was finished even this year. And that's why it is 19 years. This is prohibited, was to buy, to sell agricultural land. This is a very interesting situation. It was in Ukraine. But so it is moratorium was. Why moratorium is bad? You know, the owners of shares are deprived of the right to dispose of their property, and it is going to degradation of land, because farmers often do not have their own land, and always work on lease in Ukraine. So it is the situation you can imagine when you own an apartment, you can sell it. So it is the same, I think. This is the violation of constitutional rights. And it was confirmed that from this period, it was confirmed in 2018 by European Court of Human Rights. It was the case. Zelenchuk and Chuchura against Ukraine. And the European Court said that moratorium is bad, and Ukraine needs to make steps to abandon this moratorium in Ukraine. And from that period, we have we have the reforms, and it is about, I have to talk that moratorium is a subsidy for agriculture, because it is very cheap to have agricultural land in lease in Ukraine. For example, it is 50 euros for months to lease, or 100 euros for the land. So that's why it is for half of agricultural farmers, it is good moratorium, and half agriculture is not, for biggest factory, because they cannot sell and they cannot make their own land. So the stages of market opening in Ukraine, of land market opening, it was the first stage, it was the creation of legislative, organizational, electoral preconditions. The second stage, it was the implementation of pilot projects, sale of communal lands. It is lands of regions by the decision of territorial communities. So the first, lands remaining in use by government agencies and enterprises after unbundling. And the second, reserve lands after their final transfer to territorial communities. This is what project. It was in 2005. The third stage was lifting the moratorium on the sale of agricultural land to citizens of Ukraine. It was 500 hectares of land per individual. Now, and the first stage, lifting the moratorium, is on agriculture producers established exclusively by citizens of Ukraine, and established a limit on the size of the maximum land bank owned by a legal entity, so it is a legal person, less taking into account related parties, but not more than 5,000 hectares. It was fourth stage of opening a land market in Ukraine. So on April 28, 2020, the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, signed the law on amendments to certain legislative acts of Ukraine concerning the conditions of circulation of agricultural land. This is called Law on the Land Market. It was adopted by Verkhovna Rada in March 31 and provides for the possibility of expropriation of agricultural land. The land, which is interesting, that land of market will be introduced, will open only in July 1, 2021. And from this date, agricultural land will be available to individuals, only for individuals, not legal entities. So the moratorium of the sale of agricultural land will be lifted, and only in 1st of January 2024, there will be the possibility of legal entities to buy agricultural land in Ukraine. what in this law, in the new law, land of market of Ukraine, who is the ownership of agricultural land? So it is able to acquire citizen of Ukraine, legal entities of Ukraine. They need to be created, registered under legislation. It was the participants in these legal entities, yes, and but it is only the citizens of Ukraine, the territorial communities and the state, and the banks. So banks, it was some speeches I heard about the bank, that they can be ownership of agricultural land, and such land plots must be alienated by banks. It can sell, we can say, at land auctions within 2 years from the date of acquisition of ownership. So if somebody, if bank have a land, they need to sell it after within 2 years. This is interesting. About foreigners, what tells the law about foreigners? Is it able to buy the land? They able. Ownership of agricultural land by legal entities established and registered under the law of Ukraine, or ultimate beneficial owners, of which are persons who are not citizens of Ukraine, may be exercised from the date and subject to approval by referendum. Only by referendum. So if foreigners want to buy agricultural land in Ukraine, it is must take a question to the Ukrainian referendum, and after that they will have possibility to buy it. Which is interesting that we have no law about the referendum, the new one, and as you see, the Council of Europe Commission for Democracy, Venice Commission approved the urgent opinion on the draft law about the referendum and made several recommendations, and it will be approved maybe at 9 October 2020. So I hope President Zelensky said that it will be this law about referendum till the 2021 year. At the same time, foreigners, stateless persons, and legal entities are prohibited from acquiring shares in the authorized capital, shares, units, memberships in legal entities, and banks. However, this restriction will also expire after the abolition of the restriction approved in referendum. So all questions about foreigners will be decided in referendum. It is. I was reading an interesting article. Oleg Nievsky, it is a part-time World Bank advisor, and he opposes any restrictions, including on foreigners. He said that foreigner investors there in Ukraine and in the land market, and they have 0.5% due to the arrival of capital and new technologies. And there are always opportunities to have land, agricultural land in Ukraine. This is his word, and it is true because foreigners in Ukraine have possibility to buy, to buy agricultural land above the presenters. So about another person. Which is interesting that sociological group rating, according to the results of survey, they said that 69% of citizens in Ukraine don't oppose allowing foreigners to buy land. And only 7% it is that they agree with that, to sell it, and 8% they said that only in several years. So in Ukraine, citizens of Ukraine don't want to sell agricultural land to foreigners. But the fact of presenting Ukrainian agriculture foreigners. For example, AP Group, the third largest agriculture holding with the land bank of 400,000 hectares, it is owned by American investors. Last year, the investment fund from Saudi Arabia bought the agriculture holding Dream. Prior to that, it was owned by Mykola Huta, a Ukrainian who had been hiding abroad for several years after taking tens of millions of dollars from international financial markets to control offshore companies. And when Guta declared bankruptcy, there was almost nothing to take on credits as collateral, and all land was only leased. This investment fund bought this Dream. So, according to this law, the acquisition of ownership of agricultural land is prohibited. So it is a lot of prohibition in this law about acquisition. Legal entities, participants, as you see, or final beneficiaries of which are persons who are not citizens of Ukraine for agricultural land of state and communal property, agricultural land allocated in kind to owners of land shares, and which are located closer than 50 kilometers from the state border of Ukraine, but except the state border of Ukraine, which passes by sea. This is a Black Sea. The second leg, it is legal entities, participants, or ultimate beneficiaries of which are citizens of the state recognized by Ukraine as the aggressor. And they wrote in this law, the aggressor state is Russia, or the occupying state. The third, persons belonging to or belonging to terrorist organization. The four, legal entities, participants, shareholders, members, or final beneficiaries of which are foreign states. Fifth, legal entities in which it is impossible to establish a beneficial owner, controller. If you cannot tell who will the establisher, you cannot to take acquisition of agricultural land. Legal entities who are registered in offshore zones, Barbados, Bermuda, Seychelles, it is impossible. Then individuals and legal entities in respect of which special economic and other restrictive measures have been applied. And the last one, it is legal entities who established under the legislation of Ukraine, which are under the control of individuals and legal entities registered in the states, including in the FATF. In the list of states that do not cooperate in combating money laundering and companies under sanctions. Today, there is two countries only, Iran and North Korea. As you see, very interesting that we can show who cannot buy the agricultural land in Ukraine now. How much we can buy? The total area of agricultural land, it is by citizen can buy or legal entity, it's not exceed 10,000 hectares. So it is mean that you can buy only not exceed 10,000 hectares, and if you have own share in the legal entity that owns agricultural land, you cannot buy more than 10,000. So only 10,000 hectares. At the same time, as you see, until January 1, 2024, an additional restriction on the acquisition of agricultural land in the property was introduced, and it is a limit of 100 hectares and the granting of the right to purchase land only to individuals. So one individual can buy only 100 hectares of agricultural land, and only individuals, only from January 1st, 2024, legal entities, legal persons can buy agricultural land in Ukraine. How much it will be cost? So they said, the experts said that it will be cost $2,000 per hectare. Now it is cost like 2 hectares. We can buy 50 euro for 2 hectares still now. From 2021, it will be more expensive. Payments, it is very interesting. In this, they wrote in the law only in a non-cash form, and you must confirm with documents the sources of origin of money or other assets of the expenses of which such right is acquired. For me it was very interesting that only two kind of land can forbidden is to sell. It is communal and state ownership, yes, land, and it is land plots which located in temporarily occupied territories, Donetsk, Luhansk, and Simferopol and Crimea. So only this, but exceptions for inheritance. What are the consequences of the law for citizens? So the citizens can have permanent use. They have lifelong inherited ownership of land plots for farming. They have acquired the right to lease land and reusing the right of permanent use until 2010. And tenants who work on the land and have the right to use after 2010. So these four kind of persons, and they can buy this land with a price equal to the normative monetary value without land auction, and they have 10 years to buy this agricultural land, which are they working or they have a right. And all this agricultural land can buy in credit, so they bank credit. Regulation body is established. I think there will no new body for agricultural land, and only the state health cadastre, because all agricultural land is this database in Ukraine. And if we need to control the restrictions on the concentration of both ownership and the use of land in one hand, we have appropriate institution. It is called Anti-Monopoly Committee of Ukraine. So only this, no once more. The minimum price, as I say, $2,000 until 2030. International experience shows that their fears are greatly exaggerated about that all foreign capitals will come to Ukraine and buy all agricultural land or make investment in the land. And I want to say that Ukraine, Russia, Moldova, as I know, Croatia, the more not expensive agricultural land in all of the Europe, and land prices in countries, as I know, as I heard the last speeches, Switzerland is the most expensive prices of agricultural land. It is $70,000, and 100% is in private ownership. And Italy, yes, in 100. Only these two countries. As you see, Austria, Germany, Great Britain, they have the same high prices of the land. So France, it's not expensive, and for me, Portugal is not expensive, only 7,000. So Ukraine will be 2,000, and I don't know how it will be work in the future, but so I only show this. About Austria, who can buy and who can how much it costs, because in all European country, most of countries European can buy everybody the agricultural land, except Croatia, except these countries who have very cheap agricultural land. So as you see, like least expensive it is Latvia, Lithuania, and there is no size restrictions in Latvia. And for example, in Lithuania you can buy 300 land for individuals and legal 2,000 hectares. So it is interesting because I want to say that this new law, this about land market in agriculture in Ukraine, they need the package of additional legislative initiatives and steps on land reform. And we have such a new laws, the anti-rider law, automates the exchange of information between the register and of rights and the land cadastre. The regulation bill, it was adopted now 2020, the second reading, about the land transfer procedures, decentralized land management, transfer state lands outside settlements to communal ownership of communities, and transfers control of health cadastre. Then it was adopted in the national infrastructure of geospatial data, opens free access to cadastral data. So it is from April, everybody can see who owns which size the land, and it is free for every citizens of Ukraine. And the last law, it was adopted now in June on spatial planning, approved in the first reading, and it is regulates establishment of community boundaries, spatial planning of their territories, and about the urban planning documentation and land management documentation. If this all law will adopted by Parliament of Ukraine, I think the new law of land market will be working. What else? So in a few words about that, in Ukraine, all agriculture till 1st of July 2021 is in lease, only in lease, and the land tenants can be, as you see, citizens of Ukraine, districts of Ukraine, and citizen and legal entities of Ukraine, foreigners, stateless person, foreign legal entities, international association and organization, as well as foreign states. So everybody can lease, so be it land tenants in Ukraine, and the term of lease agreement is 50 years, do not exceed 50 years. It is always 49 years. All agreements for lease in Ukraine is 49 years. But it is interesting when leasing agricultural land for commercial agriculture production, farming, or personal farming, the term of lease is but not less than 7 years. Might be. So when you lease a conduct of commodity agriculture production, farming, personal farming agricultural land, which are land plots of reclaimed lands, it is 10 years. Reclamation and the agreement. So it is interesting that we have the minimum of legal agreement, of lease agreement, and the maximum years of legal agreement of lease agreement. So we have Ukraine land on all these tenants are working on law on land lease, and this law regulate all the relationships about agricultural land and other kind of land in Ukraine, and so it is easy. You have an agreement, you can lease the agricultural land for 49 years, and that's all. You pay tax, and nothing else. You can nothing as you have no any restriction to lease agricultural land in Ukraine. And then, and the other way, all citizens and foreigners can be legal entitled heirs of agricultural land. It's by will and under the inheritance agreement. Which is interesting that will, it is the article of civil code, it is inheritance, but inheritance agreement, it is not in inheritance, it is in like agreement, but not with heirs. I don't know why, but they put inheritance agreement only to agreements, civil agreements at all. So the rules of inheritance law do not apply to the inheritance contract. A legal entity may be an heir if it has civil capacity and the civil capacity of legal entities or legal persons it from moment of creation and till when they are a unified state register of termination. What it is interesting that legal entity must exist at the time then opening of the inheritance. When the day of the testator's death or his declaration of death. When they are not exist, and they cannot be inheritance. And no, there are no legal restrictions that hair can be a legal entity, regardless of the type, private or public or organization, legal form, company, farm. So everybody of legal entities can be inheritance. What is interesting that if legal entity may inherit a land or plot or rights to it of natural person too. So inheritance of land use rights. The inheritance includes all the rights and obligations that belong to testator. So it is, we have preemption of rights of testator, and the time of the opening of the inheritance. I want to say the one, foreigners, if are inheritance, they must sell the agricultural land in 1 year. They have only 1 year to sell it. If they are not to sell it, from the land will take the state from the foreigners. And in conclusion, maybe I want to say that I don't know, will the new law of land market work in 2021, but I know that there's a lot of news that Zelensky will be approve the possibility to foreigners to buy agricultural land without referendum, as I said, because it is the main point that needs a referendum. And we have a problem now to buy agricultural land because all Ukrainian citizens who are farming and obtaining land for this needs, they need experience in agriculture or the availability of education obtained in agriculture school. And if they are not take away this position, I think a lot, nobody can buy this land only for themselves. Okay, thank you very much for the attention. Maybe some question.
Yes, thank you so much. And I would like to ask others whether they have any questions, marks, the Ukrainian presentation.
Thank you.
Maybe a question. What is the situation at this moment with the EU integration of Ukraine? You know, it can be affect, of course, the land norms of Ukrainian. What is the intention of the new Ukrainian government in connection with EU? You know,
as I said, the moratorium was
yes.
The new parliament, the new government made everything to get to the European Union. That's why this moratorium of land code was abandoned now. It was 20 years, it was moratorium for land market, and now it is not. So they made everything to have such norms like in European Union, not like in Russia. So they're not the same. I everything doing like all norms we take from, for example, from a lot of Germany, France civil code, so and our civil code regulated in such way like in these countries.